everyone, this is Austin-Sensei, and welcome back to another review of the slime. That time was reincarnated as a slime. I'm going to call it slime because, God, that's a mouthful. I'm not going to lie. But this episode was kind of a cool-off episode, and I'm kind of happy they did that because we did just go through an extreme bunch of action, honestly. So it's good to have a cool-down episode like this, and it showed the progress of what has happened since, the fight and how Ramuro's town has progressed and built, and I actually quite like it that way. But anyway, so we see there's a new opening, and I like it, but I still prefer the first one. I know. What do you think? That's my question. Tell me in the comments down below. But continuing on, we see that Rimuro doesn't intend to charge the orcs for the crime because he understands where they're coming from. Because if it was, for instance, him, he'd probably do the same. And I kind of like this he's a kind ruler, as Gig said, that Rimuru is the nice, wholesome version of Ainz from Overlord, and it is a parody of Overlord if you haven't caught on yet, but it's so much better. It really is, because these characters actually have character development, and they aren't thrown into the back. Aldio. But anyway, so we see that the orcs will be put into labor, and they will be provided with water and food, and they're going to be split across the alliance. That's going to happen, and the Lizardmen and Trenya actually agreed to the alliance, so they're going to split these 150,000 orcs to kind of progress their villages and make more stuff and put them into labor, kind of as a way for them to have something to do. And I know people are like, oh, they're enslaving them. No, they're not really. I know. Yes and no. That's how I feel, and I know this might actually get some controversy, probably, because, Shield Hero did, but if this goes under the radar, I'd be kind of surprised. But nonetheless, this is kind of what happens, and I mean, truthfully, Rimuru could have just killed them all right then and there, and, but it wouldn't help. Having them, not really punished for their crimes, more or less, understanding why they did it, and him giving them a home to stay, basically, in a price tag to it. For them to work, they need to, they'll get paid in food and water and shelter. That's how I saw it, but people are going to take it the other way. I'm pretty sure we'll see something on the news soon. But anyways, we see Geld's brother, well, actually he's Geld, I'm going to call him Geld now, basically goes to Ben and tells him that he is extremely sorry and no amount of apologizing could help, mend what has happened. And he basically offered to have him take his head as an apology, but Ben basically goes through that everyone has a new title, and let me go through that. So Sinon is a samurai bodyguard to Rimuru, Haruko is an instructor, Sau is a spy, Shana is a holy priestess, Kurobe is a swordsmith, Ben is the samurai general, and basically Ben tells him that he wouldn't kill him for the simple fact that he's a good, valuable soldier. Him doing that would be a waste, and if he wants to make up for it, he'll accept him working really hard as an apology. And I thought that was quite, that's nice. Honestly, he did have the right then and there to take his head, but it wouldn't fix anything, and that's kind of what I like to see in this anime. I mean, that makes more logical sense than most of human history, but I like it. But nonetheless, I'm going to talk a little bit quickly that we didn't really hear anything in the manga. I actually recently have reread a couple chapters because I was falling behind because the newer chapter came out. So Shana and Kurobe we never heard their titles in the manga, so it was quite a relief that they added that in. I'm pretty sure they're taking this from the light novel at this point, which is pretty good too. But anyways, fast forward to the next part. Geld is the new Orc King, and Rimuru gave him the name for it, and it has a heavy title to it and heavy weight because it's his brother's name. And we see Rimuru named the 150,000 orcs, and of course he fell asleep. And after we hear the Lizardman chieftain actually was named too, and it was Abaru, and Gabaru gets kicked out of the kingdom because he thought he was going to actually get killed. And as I said, there's a lot of this anime takes a different approach of a logical way, and realistically, no one's ever this logical, and it's just seeing this is kind of refreshing, I guess. But rather than killing them, they let them go so they can progress further, and it's just after all, Gabaru is the chieftain's son. I don't think he was able to kill him. But anyways, after Gabiru actually gets the trident, and the people that were considered traitors also were kicked out with him, and later on, a little spoiler, Gabiru is going to get a different name, because Rimuru is going to name him by mistake, and he can override it. But we see Clayman now. This is one of the Demon Lords. There's 10 of them, by the way. We're going to see Milim in the next one. I love her. She's quite hilarious. She's extremely overpowered, but I'll talk a little more after the review. But Clayman's interested in Rimuru and how he took out the Orc Lord, and this is where we're going to start. That was the kickoff to the not the Orc Lord, the Demon Lord arc, and we're going to see Shizu kind of pop up a little more in this one. So after that, we hear about the Orcs evolved into High Orcs, and the Orcs actually started working extremely hard because the dwarves taught them how to do it, and they're extremely good workers, and they are building so many houses extremely fast. And now they have, Rimuru has flushing toilets, a water and sewage system, along with roads and a bath. And he's really happy because he's trying to build Japan basically in this world, it seems. And later on, you're going to see something else that's going to be quite hilarious, because there's going to be actually sliding doors in one of the buildings, and I can't wait. But anyways, we see that the king of the dwarves actually shows up on these flying Pegasus, and basically the king came to see Rimuru what he really is, and he challenges him to a battle, and then Trenya shows up and approves of the battle. And I'm going to be honest, Rimuru thankfully has gone through training with Haruko. If it wasn't the case, he would have probably got beaten. And see, these are the kind of things that I like, especially in the next episode. You're not going to see Rimuru as this really overpowered character. He's powerful, but he's powerful enough to think and do different things, which I think is pretty cool. But many people just think he's an overpowered thing, and he cannot consume certain things. We'll find out next episode. But we see that after that, Rimuru stops the strike and wins. But as I said, realistically, he probably would have lost. And the king sees that basically that Rimuru isn't evil. And I'm like, okay. And Haruko actually was the king's swordsman teacher, which is hilarious because they're both the same teacher, from the same teacher actually, and that's why he kind of understood one of his attacks. And we see the new nation is the Jura Tempest Federation, and Rimuru is basically the leader or the king. And we see the the alliance happen between the Dwarf Kingdom and the Jura Federation, I'm going to call it for short. And now this is all kind of set in, it's rolling, and we're going to see more things pop up in a little brief discussion. Milim's going to be in the next episode, most definitely, and I can't wait because she's one of those, she's the strongest character. I know when I say this, people may disagree. She's the strongest character in the series, and it's going to be interesting how they do it, because in this one they kind of cut around certain things but put them in a different order and made it makes more sense, I guess. And this, as I said, this wasn't a bad episode at all. It kind of felt like a filler, but it was more of a cooldown, as I said, to bring this back, because it's going to start picking up again, because we're going to see Shizu kind of haunt Rimuru, and Rimuru is going to remember his true goal. And I think it's going to be quite a really touching thing, and we got to wait a week, unfortunately. But that's a little kind of next step thing. I try to do it with a lot less spoilers, because I could spoil a lot of things, but nonetheless, if you do want to catch up and be ahead of the anime, I do suggest picking up the manga, because the manga is not going to be as ahead as it is soon, because we are getting pretty close to chapter 50 or 51 if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, pick that up. I think it is on Manga Rock, or you could go and buy it. I don't judge, but nonetheless, great episode. What did you think, guys? Tell me in the comments below. And now, my first question is, Shauna or Sinan? Tell me in the comments down below. But anyways, guys, have a wonderful day, and I will see you until the next time. Peace.